Well, Governor Newsom has signed two bills aimed at easing the state's housing shortage. One of the laws, SB 9, will allow property owners to build 2 units on land that's zoned for single-family homes. The measure also permits owners to subdivide their lots, creating up to 4 units. The other new law, SB 10, makes it easier for cities to zone for housing developments near mass transit, and those laws take effect on January 1st. State Senator Scott Wiener authored SB 10. He joins us now to talk more about that bill. Thanks so much for joining us here on The Four.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the specifics of SB 10 in just a moment. But in general, these two bills seem to just address the housing crisis. In general, no space. And so let's put more into the space we have, right?
Right. Right now, we're short millions of homes, and California has zoned about 75% of our land only for 1 unit per parcel, single family zoning. You can't build even a small 2 or 3 unit building. So what we're saying with SB 9 is you have to allow people to build duplexes, and SB 10 allows cities a new, easier, faster, less expensive way to zone for smaller buildings up to 10 units.
So there's 10 units, and they're specifically, though, in transit-rich or urban infill areas. Tell me who you're trying to address. Really, get specific on which areas in the cities of which parts of the Bay Area will be most impacted by something like this.
Well, when we say it applies to transit areas, but also quote unquote infill areas, infill is very broad. It means any area that's already urbanized. So even if it's a smaller town, if it's in the downtown Main Street area, that might be an infill area, even though it's a small town. In a place like San Francisco or Oakland, or the bulk of the Bay Area, it's going to be essentially the bulk of the region in terms of areas where we already have housing and established neighborhoods.
So tell me about the process right now, why you were inspired to start writing this. I mean, red tape is red tape. Is how much faster, how much easier is this going to make things for people who want to build more units?
Well, this has been a multi-year journey for me, because you may recall I started with a much bigger bill, SB 50, a few years ago. It would have allowed for much bigger multi-unit apartment buildings. That bill did not succeed, but it did create political space to try these other approaches. And for me, it's very simple. We are short millions of homes. It is driving people out of our state. It's causing people to become homeless. It's pushing people into poverty. It is creating overcrowded housing, which we saw how that plays out during a pandemic in terms of 10 people living in a unit. It's not sustainable how we're doing this. So we need to allow for more housing. We need to make it easier for cities to zone for more housing, and we need to approve more housing more quickly. And so that's really the baseline for me.
Now, I've seen some debates over issues like this in places that I think fit that description you were saying before, infill areas. So maybe a town like Orinda, where it's smaller, but there's a BART station. And homeowners, in the feedback I've seen who aren't so excited about this type of bill, saying it's going to affect the neighborhood and suburbs. And people moved here because they're low density, and this bill will change that. What is your response to that concern?
I live in a neighborhood too. I've lived in my neighborhood for 24 years, almost 25 years, and I love it. And my neighborhood has changed over time, and that is okay. And I don't think it's appropriate for anyone to move into a community and say, my community can never change. When you start freezing communities in amber, what that means is that different kinds of people can't afford to live there. Young people, people who maybe are more working class and can't afford a $2 million home or whatever it costs in Orinda. I know it's very expensive there. It's very expensive in San Francisco too. And so by saying we don't want the look and feel of our neighborhood to change, you may be able to preserve the physical nature of a neighborhood. But what that means is that you're pushing out any kind of diversity, young families, just people who are different kinds of people. We want diversity in our neighborhoods, and we're preventing that from happening by making it so hard to build new housing.
Yeah.
These neighborhoods are not going to radically change, but it's going to be some gradual change over time that will make it more affordable for more people to live there.
You talk about over time, and you talk about this multi-year journey. This SB 9 and SB 10 go into effect in January. What is the next step for you then as you continue? I mean, it's a complicated issue with the housing crisis. There won't be one or two bills that solve it all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's never going to be one or two pieces of legislation. It's taken us 50 years to dig ourselves into this hole. It's not going to take us 50 years to dig ourselves out, but it's going to take time. And one of the things that we need to focus on is even when we have an area that's zoned for housing that someone wants to build, it can take years and years and years, sometimes 5 or 10 years to get a project approved. So we need to make it much more streamlined, that if someone comes forward and says, okay, you've zoned for this height, for this density, for these design standards, I want to build that, you should just get your permit. You shouldn't have to fight a 5-year fight to do that. So we just need to make it more straightforward for people.
Well, certainly, I think a lot of people would appreciate a more straightforward approach. You hear how long the process is and can be. All right, State Senator Scott Wiener, thanks so much for your insight on that, and we will watch this closely as this discussion continues.
Thank you so much.